Hello, welcome to the Daily Bible Podcast. My name is William Hemsworth. Thank you so much for joining me for today's show. Well, we're going to continue with Matthew chapter 12 today. We're going to look at verses 41 and 42. Really quick, for those that don't know, I do this show live, and I live in Arizona, and it is about 5:15 in the morning right now, and just as I went live, my air conditioner turned on, so it's probably an indication of how warm it's going to be today. But that's alright. But if you hear a little hum in the background, that's what it is. It's the air conditioner. And if you just heard that hum go off, it's because the air conditioner just turned off. So my apologies for that. But again, we're going to look at Matthew chapter 12, verses 41 and 42 today. And those verses say, "The men of Nineveh will arise at the judgment with this generation and condemn it. For they repented at the preaching of Jonah, and behold, something greater than Jonah is here. The queen of the south will arise at the judgment with this generation and condemn it. For she came from the ends of the earth to hear the wisdom of Solomon, and behold, something greater than Solomon is here." And so in the previous verses, the Pharisees came to Jesus. They just saw Jesus perform an awesome miracle. And of course, they've seen him perform other miracles throughout the Gospel of Matthew. And they tell Jesus, "Give us a sign to prove that you're the Messiah." And Jesus answers and tells them, "The sign that you'll be given will be the sign of Jonah. Just as Jonah was 3 days in the belly of the whale, so will the Son of Man." Pretty much he's prophesying his resurrection. You're going to see me again after 3 days of being in the depths of the earth, being in the tomb, etc. And here's something interesting. Verse 41, he tells the Pharisees that the men of Nineveh will condemn this generation. You see, Jonah, when he finally went to Nineveh, when he was obedient and went to Nineveh and gave the message that God wanted to give to the people of Nineveh. The people of Nineveh, the scripture says, clothed themselves in sackcloth and ashes, and they repented, they wailed, they were so sorry for everything they've done. So he's saying, Jesus telling the Pharisees, they're greater than you because they realized that they were wrong. You're being hard-hearted. I've showed you everything. You know the scriptures. You have no excuse. And I'm greater than Jonah. I'm here. Jonah was a prefiguration of Christ. He foreshadowed Christ. His 3 days in the whale foreshadowed Christ's resurrection. So Jonah preached the gospel to Nineveh, and so Jesus, which Nineveh was Gentile territory, it wasn't Jewish by any means, and Jesus ministers to the Gentiles as well and commissions the spread of the gospel to all nations. In verse 42, Jesus is talking about, when he says the queen of the south, that's the queen of Sheba in 1 Kings chapter 4. She came to hear the wisdom of Solomon. Solomon built, if you recall, Solomon built the first Jewish temple. The queen of Sheba came. She came to hear the wisdom of Solomon. And Jesus says someone greater than Solomon is here. Solomon was another prefiguration of Christ. Just as Solomon built that temple, the first Jewish temple. But Jesus is the embodiment of wisdom. He's that new temple that we see in Matthew chapter 16, verse 18, when he talks about, you'll build my church to St. Peter. And he's the ruler of the 12 tribes of Israel and all the nations of the world. So we have a lot going on in these two verses today. A lot we can break down. But that's kind of the breakdown. Jesus is the fulfillment of these prefigurations of Jonah and Solomon. So thank you for joining me on this episode of the Daily Bible Podcast. Hope you all have a great day, and we'll catch you tomorrow. God bless you all.